I think this Spurs versus Pistons game gave us a lot of interesting takeaways, and one of the big ones is how to guard Victor. So I think obviously if you're playing against the Spurs, probably how you match up against Victor Wembanyama is going to be the most crucial aspect because he's going to be their most efficient threat, most dynamic threat. And so one thing the Pistons have done, and I think quite a few teams have done this, but is they were aggressively physical. And we're going to look at some examples. And even though sometimes this cost them points in the short term, I think in the long run, this is probably the strategy that I would go with. Okay, so we're going to see the back screen set, and we're watching Cade Cunningham in particular, and we're going to see him as Victor's coming downhill. And so the thing is, like, this does cause wear and tear. And we know Victor's obviously had some injuries, issues in the past, but like simply hitting him early in the game causes him a little bit more strain and theoretically slows him down for long haul. So even though they give up an open three right here, bumping Victor right there to let him know that you're constantly going to be physical with him, I think is the right play from the Pistons. All right, this is a couple possessions later, almost the exact same situation. We're going to see a back screen get set, and again, we're watching Cade Cunningham. So first off, as soon as Victor got rid of the ball, you can see the defender is aggressively fighting hands with him. And like that's a good thing because it causes Victor to have to work extra hard. You see it with Steph, that kind of thing. Like this is a really, really good concept. And then Cade, I mean, as Victor was coming downhill, like Cade definitely throws a shoulder into him. And again, I think even though this results in a foul in the short term, I think this is the right thing to do in the long term because it communicates a message that, like, Victor, we're going to play extremely physical, so you need to essentially be ready to be worn down this entire game, especially early in the game. I think that's an important message to send. But then especially playing one-on-one, I think this is absolutely crucial because if Victor gets the ball anywhere near deep in the paint, he's going to be extremely efficient. So you got to make sure, so one, he catches the ball outside. But the couple of other things here is Victor is not the most, like, short, compact dude. Like you could think of Jokic, like he is built like a tank, you know? Victor's a little bit long and lanky, and so this dude is probably objectively stronger than him. So he is using that strength, especially the lower body strength, to force Victor out as far as possible early. Okay, and so then him being physical, another thing is because Victor's so long, sometimes they won't give you as many calls simply because you're a big dude on the court, so they let you be more physical than they do with the small dudes. But so essentially he's physical, and maybe he pushes him right there, but maybe Victor like is looking for a call. Either way, I like the idea of being extremely physical, force Victor off his spot, force him to catch it further away, and potentially cause turnovers like he did right there. All right, another good example here. We're going to see Victor with the ball screen. And again, we're watching in particular zero his defender. All right, so we're going to see ball screen here momentarily. They're trying to force it to the sidelines. They know what direction it's going. Okay, as soon as this ball gets to Victor, zero immediately isn't going to try and go back to the rim because, I mean, that's a losing battle. Victor is way too long, way too efficient to near the rim. You got to go meet him here. Like, you have to meet him early to force him off his trajectory so he can't go this direction. Zero does a great job of this in this possession. Goes and meets him, establishes with the right hand, obviously, but doesn't get a piece of the arm. That's crucial, I think. Okay, but then body. Instantly gets the body into the base, especially while Victor's off balance trying to take these long strides. It's really hard to keep your momentum going the same direction if you get bumped just slightly while that's going. So you establish the base, force Victor to go sideways, and this creates it much more difficult for Victor, much more difficult shot for Victor. Even though sometimes he is going to make this kind of shot, your goal as zero has to be to make it more inefficient than it was otherwise, and he did a great job of forcing him off balance in that possession.